This is Brent Musburger, and here is your VSiN Action Update. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
The 2021 portion of the PGA Tour schedule kicks off this week with the Century Tournament of Champions. And 8 of the world's top 10 golfers are in the field for this event in Kapalua, Hawaii. Golf Digest Deputy Managing Editor Stephen Hennessy on Betting Across America with a preview of the event.
A ton of good, course history here, which, we love to pour into the data to see, past performance. So it's a really wide fairways. So it's really going to reward distance, more so than most courses on tour. Because, you could bomb it anywhere. And even if you're inaccurate, you're probably going to find the fairway. That's how big these fairways are. But the thing to look at is the greens are really big. So square feet wise, they're an average of 8,600 square feet, which is above the average on tour, but a ton of undulations. This is a Core and Crenshaw design. So if you're a golfer, Core and Crenshaw are known for doing some unique things on a layup, but especially on greens too. So, you could have, times when you're on the green, it's not going to be tough to hit greens this week, but, you're going to have crazy undulations, and 3-putts are going to be, very likely. We see that a lot here. So I'm looking at 3-putt avoidance more so than other weeks. So, it's a long course. It's a par 73. So again, driving distance is big. And I think you want to look at the par 4 scoring because there's an extra par 4 here. There's only 3 par 3s, so that's something to note. And putting, look at the 3-putt avoidance because, you could 3-putt a bunch of these crazy greens.
Golf Digest Deputy Managing Editor Stephen Hennessy on Betting Across America. Weekdays from 3 to 5 Eastern, weekends 1 to 3 Eastern on VSiN. Dustin Johnson 6-1 to win the Century Tournament of Champions, with John Rahm and Justin Thomas both at 8-1. It's Wildcard weekend of the NFL, and the Buffalo Bills are laying 6.5 against the Colts at Orchard Park on Saturday in an AFC Wildcard game. On a numbers game with Gil Alexander, Deep Dive podcast host Drew Dinsick.
For me, fair market number here is about 4.5 or 5. I don't see a ton of number value difference between 5 and 6.5. I mean, obviously you're going across 6, which you lose a little bit, but it's not enough really to shy me away from saying, if you're betting aside, the Bills are the right side, because the Colts are heading up to a very, very difficult environment. The Bills defense is playing a lot better over the last handful of games than we saw over the majority of this season. They have a fully healthy squad at this point. Trey White is a bona fide CB1 that is going to wipe out your best option in the wide receiving core for the Colts. The Colts are such a run-heavy team overall, and you can do some damage against the Bills that way for sure. But Phillip Rivers out of doors with his noodle arm, shot putting the ball in the cold, in the sub-freezing conditions in Orchard Park, no thanks, thanks. I'm not taking the bait. I'm not taking the Colts in this one. Realistically, the highest EV play on this one is the under 52.
Deep Dive podcast host Drew Dinsick on a numbers game with Gil Alexander, heard weekdays 10 to noon Eastern on VSiN. It's a huge NFL playoff weekend. The basketball season's in full swing, and the college football championship game is Monday night. Now's the time that you need VSiN, the sports betting network, and our sports betting experts. Get insights and analysis for every sport with our daily Best Bets email, 24/7 video access, and point spread weekly betting guides. Sign up today at vsin.com/subscribe. That's vsin.com/subscribe. With your action update, I'm Mike Senna.
Get the latest VSiN odds at vsin.com. And remember, cash and tickets is what it's all about.
With college bowl season here and the NFL playoffs right around the corner, VSiN has all your betting angles covered. Get the VSiN postseason football special today with everything we have to offer from now through February 8th for only $39.99. Get our college football bowl guide, daily emails with best bets, weekly betting guides, and full 24/7 video access. And you can still become an annual member at a 25% holiday savings. Sign up today at vsin.com/subscribe.
Did you miss a VSiN show? We have multiple daily and weekly podcasts to keep you up to date on all the latest sports betting action. VSiN Best Bets bringing you the highlights from our daily lineup of shows, including Follow the Money and a numbers game. Market Insights with Josh Applebaum gets you ready with the latest lines in action. Beating the Book with Yale Alexander provides the insider view on analytics-based betting strategy from professional bettors, handicappers, and sportsbook operators. Visit vsin.com/podcast today to find all of our podcast options.
Thanks for checking in here to Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch and Paul with you live. Circa Resort and Casino Fun Show coming up on the program today. A lot of good guests, and we'll get into a lot of football, obviously. Some NBA. Another player scored 60 points last night. How about that? Put a prop up for that. That's at least, the second player this year to score 60? Make it like that no-hitter prop. Will an NBA player score at least 60 points tonight?
I like it.
Yep.
I like Beal, too, afterwards. I don't care. We lost the game.
Yeah, right.
Good for him.
Right.
Yeah.
You notice that PointsBet's offering no juice this weekend? Wildcard weekend? How awesome is that? They also put up the name of bets, which we'll get to coming up from us in a second. I do like to find some of these props that we have for Wildcard weekend. For example, with the added game now, take that into consideration here, where we have the triple header on Saturday and Sunday. Total Wildcard teams to win this weekend, and you can find this pretty much at a lot of different spots. It's 2.5. Over is actually juiced as high as $1.70. Under is like plus 130. Last year, we got, with only 4 games, we had 3 teams go on the road and win. Seattle won. They won in Philly. Minnesota, when nobody had Minnesota in that game, right? They took down the Saints. And then Tennessee going to New England. And that was it for Tom Brady. Last game ever with the Patriots.
Yeah. That's that Raven game is down to 3 at some spots. 3 minus 120. Here it's 3.5 even. I don't give the Browns much of a shot. Tumultuous week. They're begging you to take the Colts with the Bills. Excuse me, they're begging you to take the Bills with that 6.5 that they have here at Circa. You have to like Tampa at least to win the game, you'd think. This bad Washington offense. Rams, McVay not saying who's going to play quarterback, and then you got the Bears, and the Saints have beat them 6 in a row. Also from Point Spread Weekly, go back the last 10 years, playoff games in domes, 70% to the over. But that's a good prop, 2.5 over minus 170. They also put the Grand Salami up, 289.5 at the half.
Yeah, right.
Let me see if you get.
Well, I mean, look at the totals in the games. We have one game with a low total for football in this day and age. The Rams Seahawks 42.5. After that, you have a 45, a couple of 47s, and then a 51.5 and a 54.5.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes one game. If you get a 20 to 13 game, the under is going to be. Then you're going to need at least one game, probably played in the high 60s or lower 70s to get over if you wanted to.
You can get very creative here, and I know they did that with name of bets and stuff we sent in and other things that they have. I know Bet Rivers is getting their menu together and stuff that they offered yesterday, and a couple props that I like. You could do even Henry and Jackson rushing yards combined against most passing yards by a quarterback. You could throw that one up there. At Bet Rivers they had Henry. I think he's 120. His rushing yard prop. We know what he did last year in the playoffs. Tannehill did nothing. It was all Henry. And what Henry has done in the last couple meetings against the Ravens. And what Jackson can do.
Oh, he went over that number in the regular season. Mm-hmm. It did go to overtime, and he won the game with a walk-off touchdown. But
yes, and other ones we discussed that they put up, we discussed the other day, because Rivera said he might go to multiple quarterbacks here and mix it up because of the calf injury with Smith. And Tampa blitzes so much. 3 different touchdown throwers in the Tampa-Washington game. 7-1. Over 2.5 guys to throw. It doesn't have to be Heineke. It can be someone else, too.
Sure.
That's how it's worded. And what has more? Punts versus touchdowns. Punts in the Rams game, touchdowns in the Colts game. Take back Colts-Bills 4-1. Tie 9-1. Very good.
I like that a lot.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Creative idea.
I guess it doesn't matter because he's going to be compromised. Even if it's Goff or Walford, look at 2 unders so far. Low-scoring games. They just played. It was 20-9. Rams have a nasty defense. That could be one of your ugly games like the first meeting, while Colts-Bills is a shootout.
Yeah.
Where if they're not scoring points or touchdowns, there's, this could be an aerial circus in that game.
I like that. That's really good. The one they have up on Derrick Henry to rush for more yards than either the Rams or the football team passing yards is plus $7.
That's very good. Yeah.
I mean,
with that one, you could go ahead. Yeah, you could also do Henry and Jackson there, but I like that. Yeah. That's very good. And you have to look at the 7-1 there.
How about this? Least points scored this weekend. Washington is the shortest shot in the board at plus 240. The Bears plus 280. How about the Rams at plus 325? The offense has been terrible down the stretch. The Browns are plus 425. Then you get into double digits territory.
If you didn't have the shenanigans in the fourth quarter Sunday, Seattle would be on an 8 unders in a row streak.
Right.
So their defense has been phenomenal, as we talked about on Tuesday's show. So I would look at the Rams there, because I'm still a little bit concerned about Tampa Bay's defense, and maybe Washington can make some plays. But I like that. Henry to rush for more yards than either the Rams or football team total passing yards.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
7-1.
How about
good.
Most points scored this weekend? Bills-Colts total is 51.5. Bills to score the most points is plus 275. The Ravens plus 350. That total is 54.5.
Yep. So Jackson's well aware of the playoff record. He said that's he's got to get that fixed. He's well aware of it. And the fact that this Tennessee defense is a travesty. I mean, this defense is atrocious.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and the Ravens are red hot on offense. I mean, most of it through the ground, though. The ground game, with blowout after blowout after blowout, other than the Monday night game, but they scored a ton of points in the win against Cleveland. But can Tennessee get any kind of pressure or any kind of stops? I say no. But they might outscore them and win the game.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. But Baltimore's on a roll.
So, do you see the Bears getting a lot of stops against the Saints? I mean, Kamara's going to have to be healthy, and he's going to have to be like a full go. And then, like the Saints offense, and we're going to have a guest again coming up in a couple of hours to talk about this game and this team specifically. But do they need Michael Thomas to win a Super Bowl this year? Do they have to have their best weapon for Drew Brees on the field, or can they get away with him being a little banged up and maybe not available?
Well, can't you argue Thomas is more important than Kamara?
I don't think so.
You don't?
No, I think Kamara, because he catches so many passes out of the backfield. He's a running back and a wide receiver. I think you could argue that Kamara is the most important running back in the league.
Yeah, the acquisition of Sanders was huge. I know we talked about it all summer. That was enormous as well. That gives Brees another weapon and target. But the other side, they have to exercise the demons here. They've had some tough losses going back.
Yeah.
Last year was unacceptable. Can't blow that game. Too much Mickey Mouse for me. Too much love affair with Hill. Okay, taking Brees out, running some short yardage stuff that didn't work, and they blow that game against the Vikings. They blew the Minneapolis Miracle. They were getting dominated for a half, came back, take the lead. We know what happened there.
No, they blew the game against the Rams.
It was a horrible call, but still, you blew the game. You can't lose that game.
No.
You still got the ball in overtime, and then Brees gets picked, but they shouldn't have lost that game either. So there's a couple losses on the resume here with Peyton. There's some head scratchers.
Yeah. And
now this is up to 10. So but what do the Bears do offensively? Trubisky's doing a nice job. It was more, you look at what happened with the points, but there were long drives in there, special in the second half.
Right.
4th and 1, go for it. 4th and 1, go for it. And then Rodgers made all the plays down the stretch.
Well, how concerned are you with the Bears defense? Because they were playing, I went back and looked last night, until their bye week, that unit played some really good football. But after the bye, they gave up 41 and 35 to Green Bay. Green Bay's got the best offense in football per advanced metrics. 34 to the Lions, which was just like, what? Really? Head scratching. 27 to the Vikings. Minnesota has a good offense. Now, they did hold Houston to 7 points somehow. I don't know how that happened, but they did. So, this unit again was very good for the first, 9-10 games of the season. After that.
Yeah, so what's realistic? Can they hold them under 30? Can they hold them under 27 in the Dome? I doubt it. But
so do I.
But that's also today's NFL. I mean, with this highest scoring season ever. I mean, what's everyone throws, can't touch a quarterback or a wide receiver. You can't even sack a quarterback unless you do it the proper technique and the barrel roll, whatever Adrian Hill said.
Yeah.
So
they make it up as we go along.
Yes. So it's just going to be difficult and a tough assignment just to hold them at 24, I think.
Yeah. Yep. But Trubisky, again, this offense has been really good. And Montgomery's been a nice story, but it's the Saints defense too now that we're talking about. The Saints defense is very good, and running backs don't do a lot of damage against this team.
That's right. Looking at some of the Rams props, Wilson 5-0 at home in the playoffs. And there's, in the Rams defense, allowed the fewest receiving yards. And they also did a great job with the yards per reception. So you look at the two wide receivers for Seattle. When Ramsey was on Metcalf in the two games, 3 for 28. In the first meeting, Metcalf had 2 for 28. In the second meeting, he had 6 for 59. I go Metcalf under and lock it over. Someone's got to get yards.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's going to shadow and be on Metcalf for most of the game, and he shut him down when he's on him, he has 3 catches combined in 2 games. So then I would look at Lockett and then Lockett over and Metcalf under.
Yeah.
And they're at Bet Rivers, they're both in the mid-60s for their receiving prop.
And I think that's the way the Rams have to approach this game again, right? Don't let Metcalf kill us, and we'll take our chances with Lockett. And if Lockett, we think that we can maybe neutralize him a little bit. Metcalf is one of the best receivers in football. Well, we can counter that with Ramsey, obviously, so we'll try to shut him down. I think that's the way the Rams absolutely have to game plan for this team. Yeah. And again, Russell Wilson against this Rams team, I'll break down some of the sack props, if you can find them a little bit later on. The Rams defense, they get to Wilson a lot. They just sacked him, I think it was 5 times on Sunday.
His rushing yards are 24.5. That's intriguing.
Yeah.
Rams touchdowns, 2.5, under -220. Rams going to score 3 times? Bills, Colts touchdowns, 6.5, under -170. Allen 299.5, Rivers 265. More yards, Allen -160. Rivers to throw a pick, yes, -160. Allen completions, 24.5. Hilton yards, 53.5. Diggs, 90.5. Who'll have more yards? Diggs -240. They keep putting Diggs in that same territory. He goes over every game.
Right.
Led the league in receiving yards. How about the Tampa game? First team to score 15 points. Bucks -335. First team to get to 15 points.
Wow.
At Tannehill.
I'm really hoping that Alex Smith is going to be able to play a lot in that game. Because I think football team can win that game.
Okay. And Tannehill is 237.5. Now, again, mind you, he had 7 completions and 8 completions in the first 2 playoff games last year. They were wins because it was all Henry.
Yep.
Guy's like 7 of 18 or 7 of 15. It's 80 yards. He's winning games, playoff games, throwing for 80 yards.
Yep. Okay, so now this is right in your wheelhouse. This is your baby. You like to bet. You like to parlay the no defensive or special teams touchdown. PointsBet actually has any team to score a touchdown at all this weekend on defense or special teams. The yes is -$5. The no is +320.
So 2 years ago, we took him out in a body bag, and we've had him in a headlock for years on this. 11-1 2 years ago in the playoffs with this prop. The Colts blocked a punt against the Chiefs. That was it. I already called Ben in New Brunswick. All of these lines are $2.75, with the exception, I think, of the Saints game's $3. All the other ones are $2.75. If you parlay all of them, it's like +550. It works out too. But again, it depends on where you buy your groceries. So that's I'm not in love with it because a lot of unknowns with the quarterbacks. You don't know. Rivers could do it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely he could. He's already got me a couple times. Mayfield got me earlier in the year, although I do trust him on Sunday. But the weekend I'm looking at is next weekend because you're going to have Mahomes, Rodgers, still could have Brady, Wilson. It comes. You don't.
Breeze.
You're not going to see a lot of punts. You're going to see a lot of touchbacks and quarterbacks that you trust. Right, Breeze too. Right.
Yeah.
That would be. Imagine if it's Breeze, Wilson, Brady, and Rodgers playing next week.
I'll tell you what. I can absolutely see one in the Rams-Seahawks game this weekend.
Yeah.
I could see one in Bucks-Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be a scoop and score on a strip sack, though, as opposed to a pick six.
Well, Brady got me a couple times.
Yeah, he did.
He threw a couple pick sixes early.
Bears, Saints, you never know. Trubisky could be backed up, throws a wild card at the 20-yard line, pick six, whatever. And you just said with Mayfield, they call it wild card weekend for a reason.
Yeah, but I'll trust it here because especially it was so that 2 years ago. That was the year I had the $4,000 parlay because it's what I wanted. I had Goff against Breeze, shaky defense, high scoring game. Everything's a touchback, no punts, and I had Mahomes against Brady. $4,000 parlay that I cashed with that.
Yeah.
But that's what you're looking for with these. The other thing too with Brady. I mean, can we even? He had an underrated year when you look at it. 40 touchdowns and 4,600 yards.
Yes.
Early on, it was write him off. He's too old. And then look what he did. Now I know he struggled against teams with a winning record, but the numbers on Brady is his over 40th playoff game now. 42nd playoff game Saturday night. 30 wins. Montana's second was 16. Give me a break. I'm looking at these numbers. We'll do them later in the show. It's just absurd. Where it's just here's Brady and here's everyone else in every category in the playoffs.
Yeah. Again, 43 years old.
Yeah.
And he threw for 4,600 yards and 40 touchdowns.
Yeah. And early in the season, it was the same cast of characters. Huh? It's over. Huh? Cliff, too old, not getting it done.
Remember that?
The deep ball, he's been on money on the deep ball.
Remember that? We were on the air probably in September, and I said, enough of the Tom Brady nonsense. Take a peek at Drew Brees. He can't throw it 5 yards in the air.
Exactly.
And you don't hear a peep out of that.
Now, Tom was struggling throwing it downfield.
Well,
the numbers were bad, but he closed. He was awesome in the last couple months.
No, that was definitely corrected.
Yeah.
He's got weapons, obviously, but he knew what he was doing, right?
Yep.
I mean, look at the Patriots again.
Great move. Worked out.
Let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Pauly Howard. Up next, we'll run down some of the bad beats, the line moves from last night. We like to call it win some, lose some. That's on deck right here on Follow the Money.